What is going on, guys? My name is Jay Craft. You know me, Facebook group, Bolorama Pickers Lounge, description down below. I'm here today with a very specific and important video. And I just want to preface, there's a bunch of you that are going to be here for the first time, checking me out and hearing me talk. I want to be clear, this is not a Pokemon channel. Okay, we talk about all things reseller related, but for today's video, we're going to be doing a semi deep dive into the topic of Pokemon, because as some of you have recently seen, the category has been exploding. Even Jordan Sweetnam himself put up a post saying that over 135 Pokemon cards a minute were selling on eBay over the last month, which is just incredible. We haven't seen things like that since the, early 2000s era. And I felt, given all of the things that are happening right now within that category, it would be wise of me to make a video to cover the fundamentals for those of you who have no idea about Pokemon and what Pokemon is and why it matters, because as resellers, whenever there's an opportunity to make a profit, we want to be a part of it. And at a minimum, we should have an understanding of the category so that when others wish to engage with us, we can have an educated discussion with them. Now, some of you are here and you know everything you need to know about Pokemon. And I welcome you still to stick around, because we are going to talk about the finance things towards the end of this video. Maybe I'll even put a little bit of timestamp on screen so you know where to jump to. But we're going to talk about Pokemon. Now, Pokemon as a product was released in the early 2000s or late, I think it was 1999 is when the Pokemon product was released here in America. And for those of you who don't know, there was a TV show, there's figures, there's toys, but the biggest product that really tied the whole thing together, and which was the core storyline aspect, was the actual Pokemon themselves, which manifested themselves in card form, the Pokemon trading card game. Now, the cards they're all kinds of different ones. These are just a couple of examples that I have here. This is a standard one. This is a shiny one right here. Not specifically shiny, but a holographic, as some of you might know it. This is a GX card here. And the cards vary wildly in price, from less than a penny up to tens of thousands of dollars for the rarest ones out there. Now, as a reseller, you're not going to stumble into tens of thousands of dollar cards unless you get lucky in a storage unit, but you're not going to stumble into them at thrift stores. Things like that just don't happen within this category. But as of recent, modern day Pokemon cards are starting to gain a lot of traction, and we're seeing cards that are worth hundreds of dollars popping up here and there within the community, and there's lots of room for potential profit. So before we go any further, these cards, can be acquired through Pokemon packs. The packs contain anywhere from 3 on the low end, certain series, up to 11 or potentially more. I think there might be some Japanese releases that have even more cards than that. But this is how they come. You open the pack and there's cards inside, and there's multiple different sets, ranging from the classic base set, which came out in '99, all the way up to the modern stuff like Vivid Voltage, which came out just a month or so ago from the time that this video is being released. Now, if you look at the side here, you can see an array of packs on the inside. This Vivid Voltage booster box contains 36 packs, and each pack contains 11 cards. Each one of these boxes has an opportunity for a very valuable card. It can range up into the hundreds of dollars, respectively, for this specific set. Now, there are different sets. You can see I have a couple other boxes back there, but each set has its own specific cards that are contained within it. I understand this might be a little grady for some of you, but we're going to get into the important things, but we have to establish a foundation of what Pokemon really is. Now, beyond that, we have a secondary market item as well, where people will take these cards and they will get them professionally graded, the same way that you would comic books, same way you would stamps, same way you would coins. You may have heard of CGC, PGS, PSA. There's a lot of companies that are doing professional grading to where you can get these cards placed into a slab. They do it with video games too. Get it placed into a slab with an actual grade on it. Your cards outside of a graded slab have no comparable value to the cards that are within a graded slab. So you can look at your card and say, this card is mint condition, and it very well may be, but that does not mean it's a 10. It does not mean it equates to the value of a card that is graded. Grading cards cost anywhere between, I think, as low as $10, $15 up to $50, depending on the company you go through, the volume you do, and your history with that company. Now, again, there's a lot of details with each one of these steps. I could stop. I could talk to you about the expansion in the series for an hour. I could talk to you about grading for an hour. I could talk to you about the different types of cards for over an hour. This is going to be a broad overview. Now, if you do have additional questions after you watch this entire video, you have two choices. You can either reach out to me directly either through YouTube, through Facebook. There's a lot of ways to get in touch with me, or you can leave a comment down below with the question you have, and we will have a part 2 to this video where we will go over all the questions. Now, that includes the fundamental basic questions about cards all the way up to financial analysis of the markets and understanding when you should be buying and when you should be selling. Those of you who do not know, I have spent in excess of $40,000 on Pokemon cards this month alone. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've also sold in excess of $40,000 worth of cards this month alone. And I have great growth and profits from that amount of work that I've done. I've probably come up maybe $10,000 to $15,000 in profit over the last 30 days, and I'm continuing to improve my position on these products. Now, before I progress too much further, I feel we have an understanding of what the product is now. I have to explain that there is different categories of product classes. Some people are going to work specifically within cards, and the value of individual cards has absolutely nothing to do with the value of individual packs. And furthermore, the value of individual packs, because there's some people who collect packs or blister packs. Some people collect vintage stuff. This is a 10-year-old pack of Pokemon Platinum. This pack on its own is worth about $50. This pack on its own, Burning Shadows, is worth about $5. Now, these two products and their values have absolutely nothing to do with the value of a booster box. And it's very, very important that we establish this early. We've known this for a long time with other collectible categories within this same subset. So baseball cards, Magic cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever it might be, the actual value of an individual pack has no relation to the value of the booster box. There are people who are looking for these vintage booster boxes, and some of the older ones can go for $20,000 to $100,000 for a single booster box for the original first edition base set, Fossil, Jungle, the early 2000 era stuff can go for a lot of money. But the individual packs are generally going to be worth less per pack because it's a different collector's category. There's room for tampering and potential resealing. Just because you see a box like this does not mean that the item has not been tampered with. So when you are buying, if you're buying off some Joe Blow off Facebook and you see he's on Marketplace and he has a $9,000 booster box, and that booster box he has marked down to $6,000, you have to ask yourself, is there room for this item to have been tampered with? If you don't know, reach out to an expert, me or anyone else that works heavily within this Pokemon industry, or even the company that I'm working with now, Team 9 Comics. Don't be afraid to reach out to any of us, and we'll help validate an item for you before you potentially throw away thousands of dollars. This is not something for the faint of heart who do not understand what they are doing when it comes to this product. But just like with any other resale product, you can think of any category There's counterfeit glass, there's counterfeit clothing, there's counterfeit posters and memorabilia. Every category has counterfeits, and learning how to detect those counterfeits is how you protect your investment. Now, with that sticky, nasty little part out of the way, I want to establish too that when you decide to work within this product and you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get a couple of cases of Vivid Voltage. These come 6 to a case. I myself bought, maybe 25 or 30 cases of this item. I have a lot of it. When I bought it, I decided the day that I bought it how much I want to sell it for. Now, the price that I want and the price that the market is willing to pay are two completely different things. But I decided I wanted it $170, and then after the first week, I realized, I'm like, you know what? I think I can get $180 per box. Now, how much did these cost me? Well, I can get them, and you can get them through me for $90 a box. Now, that is incredibly cheap. Very, very cheap. And the reason we're able to do that is because we're doing volume pricing for people, and we're making wholesale pricing accessible to the everyday person. Because when it comes to making profit within any category, the closer you can get to wholesale, the better it is for you, right? Because you're ending up ultimately making more money. If you're buying these at $110 a piece and you're paying an extra $20 more, you're like, oh, it's only $20. What if you buy 100 of them? Okay, that's $2,000 extra that's coming right out of your pocket that you'd be able to put right back into inventory. You yourself could actually get an extra 23 units with that extra money. It's somewhere in there. Don't quote my math, but it's about there. Okay, so we're able to get you these for $90 a box. I'll put a link in the description, not for Vivid Voltage, but the next one coming up at this time when this video is coming out. That one is called, I believe it's called Battle Styles. It is a very interesting set. I plan on buying some myself, but this is where it gets important to understand. I wanted to get 180 bucks, and I sold maybe 60 or 70 of them at that price. and outside market factors cause the price to come down. Now, there's a whole plethora of things that can occur to cause pricing fluctuations within the market. But one of the biggest ones is somebody coming along and saying, you know what, I have 1,000 of these. I don't want to only sell 5 to 10 a day. I want to sell them all today. And we saw that twice over the last week, where a single eBay seller has listed their inventory for $135 for these booster boxes shipped. And there's no reason to have done that. He could have listed them for more, retained the value on the secondary market, but guess what happened? It reestablished market prices at $135 for that time period. Now, that being said, the price got up very high, much faster than normal with these types of products, just because of some external market factors again. It's Christmas. We're in a pandemic. Jake Paul just made a huge video on the topic of Pokemon. A lot of people are coming back to the market for the first time, and FOMO, fear of missing out. If I don't buy it for $180, I might not be able to get it ever again. Will it go back down? And a lot of people will say, well, generally it won't, but we have no control when somebody else comes along and decides to alter the price. We kind of have to wait till they sell out and then see how far, if the price does move back again. But once some people start doing it, you're going to see a lot of, as we call them, unsophisticated investors start to follow suit, because the FOMO happens in both directions. What if I can't sell my product? What if the price goes further down? Am I losing money? Well, you haven't made or lost money until you've chosen to sell. So I can sit here, and some of you have really nice booster boxes. I have some that are worth upwards of $500 to $1,000, and you can say this is worth $500. I got $500 sitting on my shelf, and you don't have it until you actually sell it. And you're not able to lose money until you've chosen to actually sell. So in situations like this, when I saw the prices starting to go down, what did I do? I bought more because I believe in the strength of the product, and I know how much more product is going to be coming to the market. We have access to that information as far as how much more is sitting at the distributor's warehouse. I am not afraid of some market noise. Now, I know some of you, and I have to stress this, if you do not have much money, do not invest within this category. Okay, if you want to get one or two and you want to throw them on the shelf and you want to see what's going to happen to them and you're going to forget about them for a few years and then come revisit them, sure, no problem. Okay, but if you're going to be buying thousands of dollars worth of product, it now becomes an active investment. You kind of have to watch the market. You kind of have to see what's going on, and you have to have a thick skin to deal with having $20,000 worth of Pokemon cards and then seeing the price drop on them by 30%. Okay, that's $6,000 right off the top that you've lost over the course of a week in the event that you choose to sell at that price. So there's a lot of things going on. Like I said, there's external factors, but there are things that you can do to protect yourself. You're going to have to forgive me. I got my notes here off to the side. One of the things that you can do to try and help mitigate some of that risk is by staying a bit diverse. I'm going to be very clear when I say this. I will not put all of my money into Pokemon. Okay, I think it's foolish because we don't understand what can happen with the Pokemon market. I have a book, I think I let my roommate borrow it. It's called The Beanie Baby, The Great Delusion. And I understand that some people will say, oh, it's cards, it's not like Beanie Babies. But the reality is, the way that this market has evolved, there's a lot of similarities between the two. I'm not going to encourage anyone to go out and dump tons of money into this market unless they are willing to put in the work to make this category work for them. Can you make tens of thousands of dollars working in Pokemon? Sure. Okay. But not everyone is capable of doing it. Not everyone is capable of taking on a certain level of risk or learning the category as well. It needs to be learned. For me, I mitigate my risk by diversifying my inventory within the category. I don't have just Vivid Voltage. I have Evolutions. I have Unbroken Bonds. I have the shiny ones. I stay diverse in what I keep, so that way if one specific class ends up going down or maybe doesn't show me the gains that I want, I have other items within Pokemon that can. And then outside of Pokemon, I'm holding over $100,000 worth of inventory outside of the Pokemon category itself as a professional reseller. Staying diverse is what protects your investments, whether you're putting some money in the stock market, whether you're putting some money into a mutual fund, wherever you're parking your money, stay diverse with what you do so that way you can't lose everything all at one time. We do understand another thing too. The market is in a bit of a bubble right now, which is fine. Okay. Video games have been going through their bubble where I feel like video games are starting to taper off just a little bit. Cat's out of the bag. Collecting's getting a little bit boring because it's getting harder to find the stuff. Everyone's tired of paying full price. And frankly, the next generation doesn't care about video games. Okay. That's something that's very important to understand, that, you might have a kid who's 8, 10, 12 years old. He's not going to be interested in spending $4,000 on a graded copy of Super Mario. Okay. But as of right now, with where this generation is at, we're seeing people that are in their early 30s, late 20s, who grew up with this stuff. They were in elementary and middle school when Pokemon first hit the scene. And just like with video games, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we saw a resurgence of those people having money for the first time. And this is an important thing to understand. I think a lot of people lose track of this, is that most people, when they're 21, 22, 23, 24, they just don't have money. And I myself am 35 now. I may look a little younger. I am 35, but when I was 24, I didn't have money for squat. And it wasn't until I started getting closer to 30 where I had a good place and a good car and I really started feeling established. And what did I do? I started spending money on things that I had from my childhood. And we're seeing people who are at that point right now in life starting to spend money on their childhood. And I know the word bubble scares a lot of people. It's because a lot of people don't understand how bubbles work. Bubbles can last a couple of weeks. We see it sometimes with, there's this set of toys that came out from some Australian supermarket. These little blind bags, and there was a couple of really rare ones. And we watched this bubble just come out of nowhere overnight, and people were buying and selling tens of thousands of these on a week-by-week basis. You probably never even heard of the darn things. Max Mofo made a video on them. People were buying them like crazy. And it was one of the shortest lived bubbles that I remember in recent history. Prices spiked up to 100x their original value and then immediately tapered back off. Okay, it was very short term. Now, video games, those are in a bubble as well. But this bubble is a very large bubble. It's going to take another 10 years probably for that market to fully cool off. But we've seen a lot of markets cool off. But bubbles can last well over a decade. So if you have someone and they're saying, oh, it's just a bubble, don't invest your money, you're going to lose your ass, well, oftentimes they don't know what they're talking about. Bubbles can last a long time, and don't let the term bubble scare you from working with an active investment within this category. And again, if you don't have money, do not participate in investing in this. Do not participate in the buying and selling unless you are willing to take on a certain level of risk. Next thing too, it's important to understand that this is a very active and for the most part, very friendly community. There's a lot of people who truly love playing the game, truly love opening the product, talking about it on air. They do these live streams where they actually open up packs and they sell them per pack to people who are watching. We call them breaks. It's an absolutely fantastic community of people there. Treat the community with respect. Whether you are there as a player, whether you are there as an investor or a speculator, treat them with respect. It's a great, great community, and you do not want to ruffle feathers within that community. You want to be nice to the people that you're working with, because those people are the ones that are propelling the collector's class on this item. Some items are driven by the actual community and the players, and then some items are driven by the collector base. And we've seen with games like Magic the Gathering, it's almost wholly been the players that have driven that category for years and years and years on end. And then finance started to become a bigger picture, but still there's a thriving community of players. With Pokemon, we're starting to see a situation where there's a lot of people stepping into the financial end of things. Some people are worried, but I think that's a great thing. The further spread out the product is, the better that it is for everyone to help retain high prices. And if you're a player and you're thinking, man, this is disgusting, I just want to get my items for cheap, well, you kind of want both things. You want the items that you want, but you also want them to be worth something, because at the end of the day, you want to know that you can enjoy what you have that's coveted and special to you, and then at some point in time, you might be able to release it back into the secondary market and someone else is going to be able to enjoy it. Or heaven forbid, you have an emergency come up and you need to liquidate your inventory. You want to be able to know that the market has taken care of itself, stayed strong, and you're able to release that inventory. Last thing I want to talk about, and I mentioned this earlier, okay? Securing a vendor can be very difficult, and I worked for probably 6 years to try and find a great vendor that I would be able to work with personally, to be able to get products at great prices, but also be able to share with the community of resellers that I'm working with now. The company that I've ultimately ended up working with, and I have a very close-knit relationship with them. I'm handling volume clients. I'm going to be handling some accounts with streamers, accounts with content creators. It's a very hand-in-hand type thing. The company is called Team 9 Comics. And I'm going to put their information on screen. I'll put it down below as well. We've secured a deal to where you can get booster boxes of the next set. It's called Battle Styles, or not even that set, but the next set of the next set of the next set, where you can get them for very cheap. Right now, if you're working with us, we can get you them for $90 a box. Now, I do want to stress one more thing. I sold about 50 of these at $180 a box before the market has cooled off, and now we're at around $140. There's nothing to say, and there's no guarantee that buying a booster box at 90 that it will move anywhere up past 100 even. And it's an important thing to understand. Not every booster box is going to be a home run. And that's that little asterisk I've got to put on there because I do ethical business. I don't want to see anyone lose their butt spending too much on Pokemon cards, because at the end of the day, they're Pokemon cards. It's an esoteric market. Okay, there isn't billions of people out there working with this product. There's millions at best. Okay, so it is an esoteric market. Be careful with what you do. It is a pop culture market. There's a lot of people out there playing it, but it's not as big as you think it is when you get outside of the world of people who actually deal with this inventory. Okay, so that being said, if you're looking to get cheap product, you're looking to build a working relationship, if you're buying a couple of them, okay, you don't need my help. Okay, just put in the code Bolorama, visit the link, type in Bolorama. It'll make the boxes $90 a box for you. Okay, if you are getting quantity, try and get them all at once. It makes it easier for everyone. If you're looking to buy more than 2 cases and you say, Jay, I'm coming to the table, I want to spend some money, I understand what's going on. Maybe you're buying for Amazon and you need a purchase order. Okay, you want to get ungated in Pokemon. Very valuable thing. Okay, maybe you're saying, you know what, Jay, I have the money. I want to get 40 cases. Okay, can you give me a better price? Yes, I can. Okay, but with shipping discounts, volume buying, yada, 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 I can get you a better price than that. Sometimes significantly better. Okay, or if you're just saying, Jay, I want to buy, 5 to 10 cases, but I would just like to work hand in hand with somebody. I just want to make sure that I can get even a slightly better price. Reach out to me. You can either follow the link down below. Okay, or any of the links, leave a comment, whatever you want to do. You can visit my website. You can visit me on Facebook. There's lots of ways to get in touch with me. I would love to be able to work with you. Last little asterisk, okay? When you're working with these new pre-release products, the money isn't going through me. And I just want to be super transparent about that. Yes, I do receive compensation for the sales that run through the site, but I will not be touching your money and I will not be handling your product. Okay, but by offering you a wholesale price, it does directly benefit me. And I want to be super crystal clear about that. Again, do not invest unless you have money to work with. And if you're looking to work in quantity, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I do hope that this has answered some of the questions and given you a little bit of understanding regarding this market, so that way you can be a little bit wiser if you decide that you want to step into it. Again, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you'd like to see a part 2 where we actually talk about analyzing the market and assessing the risk within specific expansions, or if you want to know how many units am I buying of the next one when it comes around, I can definitely make that happen for you. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I appreciate it. And remember, if you don't make that money, someone else will. Have a great day.